Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We are going to start our discussion related with the inferential statistics. Last time we were focusing on the measurement scale. Three scales were described: nominal, ordinal, and scale. Scale itself is nothing, is a formation of two elements. One of them is called interval and ratio. So in these slides, nominal scale, ordinal scale, interval, and ratio. These two slides are separately described here, but collectively SPSS will use the term scale for these last two. So you can read these two slides. Very simple difference in between that. In interval scale, there is no absolute zero, but in ratio scale, there is absolute zero. The absolute zero is basically the relevance or differentiation among the two scales. Collectively, we use the term quantitative data for interval and ratio. This is purely quantitative. While ordinal is not pure quantitative, it is somewhat in between the qualitative and quantitative. Those qualitative which can be rated on a Likert scale can be designated as ordinal scale. So ordinal scale, nominal scale is purely non-quantitative. It cannot be, these are just labels. The nominals are just labels, ordinal are labels that can be classified by some ranks, while scales, which are ordinal, interval or ratio, is a pure quantitative like height, weight, percentages, salaries, wages, etc. These are all are quantitative. Now I am moving to our discussion to the two different type of statistical procedures. One of them are known as parametric procedures. Other of them are referred to as non-parametric procedures. Parametric procedures are the inferential procedures. Both are the inferential procedures. I am not talking about descriptive procedures and inferential procedures. These are the two broad categories, descriptive and inferential. And inferential can also be bifurcated into the two segments. One of them is called parametric procedures, and other of them is called non-parametric procedures. So parametric and non-parametric are the categories of inferential procedures. So I generally use the term non-par for it. Non-par means non-parametric. Non-par, non-parametric. When we apply the parametric, when we apply non-parametric, descriptive is the initial phase. Either we are doing non-parametric, descriptive are to be done first. If we are doing the parametric, then the descriptives are the elements which we have to cover first. So initially we first have to cover the descriptive procedures, and after descriptive procedures, then we may have to switch to the parametric or non-parametric procedures. Now we have to differentiate what are the characteristics of parametric. Parameters are what? Parameters are population mean, as discussed in the last lecture, population variance, and population correlation, and population proportion. These are called parameters. Parametric procedures are those which involves parameters, because most of the time the parameter mean, mu, can be computed for quantitative data. It cannot be used for the qualitative data. Standard deviation can be used for quantitative data. It cannot be for qualitative data. Correlation for the quantitative data. It cannot be for qualitative data. Proportion. In the last lecture, I explained you proportion may be used on the qualitative variable or it can be used on a quantitative variable. As I gave you the example, the proportion of boys and girls in the class, so it is an example of qualitative. But on the other hand, I gave you an example that the transactions, more than proportion of transactions, more than 1 million in a bank, that is a that is a quantitative variable on which I am using proportion. The proportion can be used either by qualitative or quantitative or any of them. Now, parametric procedures are generally applied on quantitative variables. If your variables are qualitative, then parametric are not for them. It's one of the very clear discrimination. I'm repeating it. Parametric procedures are used only for the quantitative variables. For qualitative variables, parametric procedures are not involved. Non-parametric procedures can be applied on the quantitative variable as well as on the qualitative variable. It means qualitative procedures which are non-parametric can be applied over any sort of variable, either qualitative variable or quantitative variable. But there is a limitation of parametric procedures on which the procedures can be applied for quantitative only. There is one more restriction on the parametric procedure, that restriction is not for all quantitative variable parametric procedures are valid. They are valid only for those quantitative variable on which certain assumptions are fulfilled. One of the very significant assumption is your quantitative variable should fulfill a test of normality. If your data is normally distributed, so you can apply the parametric procedures. Otherwise, parametric procedures cannot be used. So if a quantitative variable is not fulfilling the assumption of normality, then we cannot apply parametric procedure on that. We have some other options. I will describe that option later on. But right now, I am simply stating your quantitative variable, if it is fulfilling the assumption of normality, very basic part, then you can apply any parametric procedure. Parametric procedures are what? Very simple. Z-test, all of you are familiar with the Z distribution. T-test, these are parametric procedures that we have to learn in the rest of the lectures. T-test, chi-square test, and F-test. F-test.
Sir, only for the normal distribution, इसके अंदर और कोई distribution apply नहीं हो सकती?
Only for data should be normally distributed. I'm not saying that other distribution. If your data is normally distributed or approximately normally distributed, then you can apply parametric procedures. If your data size is too large, you can still use the parametric procedure and regardless the assumption of normality. So at the basic level, you should remember one thing in your mind. If the variable fulfill the assumption of normality, you can apply the procedure of parametric procedures. Other conditions will be described later on. Some relaxations are there. That relaxation will be described in the next lecture or after that. So you should have in your mind, if your variable is not normally distributed, you should apply a non-parametric procedure on that. These tests which I write down at the bottom of this slide, Z-test, T-test, chi-square, F-test, 3 are purely quantitative. Z is parametric, purely quantitative. This is purely quantitative. This is purely quantitative. Chi-square is a test which involved in both of the procedures. In some examples and some applications, chi-square is used as a quantitative test, but in other applications, chi-square can be used as a qualitative test. So chi-square have a both functionality. It can be used as a qualitative test as well as it can be used as a quantitative test.
Sir, लेकिन parametric method के अंदर तो सिर्फ
those for which we know that the population is approximately normal or involve population parameters. As I told you, population mean, population variance require interval scale or ratio scale. Means your variable is a quantitative variable. And have assumptions. Assumptions, one of the simple assumption is normal distribution, equal variances. Equal variances are involved whenever we have the more than one variable. Suppose I have two variables, one variable is x1, another variable is x2. So there is an assumption that variable x1 should fulfill normal distribution, variable x2 should fulfill normal distribution, and the variance of variable 1 and the variance of variable 2 should be alike or somewhat similar. This is called equal variance. This is one assumption, and it is another assumption of normality. We have to apply a certain procedure to test whether the population are normally distributed or not, whether the variances are equal or not. Separate tests are also included in this course to achieve these assumptions. If these assumptions are not fulfilled, we cannot apply parametric procedure for that type of data. These are the names, as I told you, z-test, retest, f-test, chi-square test. These are known as parametric test. Non-parametric tests do not involve population parameter, probability distribution, independence, interval scale, ratio scale, ordinal scale. No, it means any sort of data we can use non-parametric. Quantitative पे भी आप apply कर सकते हैं, qualitative पे भी apply कर सकते हैं. Even though ये qualitative procedure है, लेकिन this procedure can be applied over a quantitative variable as well as on a qualitative variable. There is no restriction of the type of variable for it. There is no assumption of normality needed. There is no assumption of equality of variances needed. Sign test, Wilcoxon test, these are the two examples. As I told you, the t-test, z-test was an example of the parametric test. Sign test, Wilcoxon test are the examples of non-parametric. Other examples are these: sign test, Wilcoxon sum ranks, Wilcoxon sign rank test, Kruskal-Wallis test, Friedman test, Spearman rank correlation. We have not to cover all of these tests, all of these non-parametric tests here, but some non-parametric tests, one or two, will discuss in this course. Majority of the procedure that we will discuss in this course based on parametric procedures, because parametric procedures are more accurate as compared to non-parametric procedures, because quantitative data is accurate as compared to qualitative data. But I'm summarizing this presentation today, and after this presentation, I will start my discussion about SPSS. The reason is we will use the SPSS throughout the course. So before starting the quantitative procedures, you should be able to run the software. The very basic elements of the software SPSS will be discussed in the rest of the lecture today. Now, these are the chapters of the book. Chapter 1, 2, 3, 4,
Sir?
5, 6.
Sir,
For any research problem, our first step is to collect the data. The data is to be collected by any one of the two procedures. One of them is called observational study, and other one is known as design of experiment or experimental design. Observational study is, as I told in the earlier lecture, observational study will give us the immediate data, because the participants already have data. We have to gather the data from the participants by the help of questionnaires or surveys. And surveys, the result of that questionnaire will then be filled into the software, and the database is created. That data will be used for analysis. So we have not to keep the participants ourselves and monitor them for a large period of time to gather the data. The data is ready. We have just to collect the data from the participant in the observational study. Observational study, in this example, we have to collect the data from the 100 women. These 100 women are the women of age 30. 50 of the women are smoking for the 10 years, while the 50 doesn't have any smoking habit from the last 10 years. So I have splitted the data into two segments. We have to collect the 50 participants who are smokers since from last 10 years and 50 non-smokers for last 10 years. And then their lung tests are performed. These are the results of their lungs test. And we have gathered that directly. We have not to wait for any period. These are the smokers since last 10 years. These are the non-smokers for last 10 years. We have to just take the test of their lungs. We have the data. This type of data is called data obtained by observational study, by questionnaires or by surveys. On the other hand, if we are designing the experiment for collecting the same data, then we randomly selected 100 women who never smoked. Then we have to isolate 50 randomly for the purpose of smoking and 50 randomly for the purpose of non-smoking. These 50 and 50 will be selected randomly. These 100 were also be selected randomly from the population of non-smokers, and these 50 and 50 is still right now they are non-smoker, they never smoke, but these 50 will ask to smoke for 1 year, for 10 years, sorry. And these 50 are asked not to smoke till next 10 years. Now we have to wait for the 10 years to collect this data and to complete this analysis. After 10 years, the lung test will be taken for these participants, and lung test will also be taken for the non-smoker participants, and then the results will be compared. This type of collection of data is known as experimental design. To conduct this experiment, we have to wait for 10 years. We have to keep these 100 participants in an isolated environment where we have to keep a watch with the same number of cigarettes they are using per day, and these other 50 are not taking any cigarette or any smoke during the last 10 years. We should have to keep their environment same so that we can compare their lung capabilities. Also, they are not taking any other type of habit, like they are drinking something that may affect their lungs. So that is also be restricted. They have not to use that because that may also influence the lung regardless of cigarette. So that is very constraint implemented experiment, and we have to wait for this experiment for 10 years, and we have to spend much more amount for completing this experiment. But the data obtained after this experimentation will be quite accurate as compared to the direct observational study. As I told you, people are selected randomly. Randomization, people are selected randomly, and 50 and 50 again splitted randomly. This is called randomization. That is one of the very important concept in experimental design. The other is replication. Replication means I am taking 50 participants for smoking, 50 for non-smoking. Why 50? Why not one? If I take one for smoking and one for non-smoking, then I can compare. But I am using 50 for smoking, 50 for non-smoking. This is called replication. I am repeating this. Because if any of the participant is missing during the experiment, the rest are there, we can proceed further. And we can take the mean. Mean will give us the comparison, mean 1 and mean 2. So we need one figure for smokers, one figure for non-smoker, but that single figure will be used as a mean. So replication will give us a better mean as compared to single participants. Local control are what? The constraints that I was applying. The living environment, the number of cigarette per day, these are the local controls. Experimental units are what? In this example, the women's are the experimental units. The women's are the plot, sorry, and experimental units are the smoking. The smoking are what? Experimental unit or the subject or the plot, these are the same terms. Experimental units, subject or plot. These are the three terms which is used for participants. ये women जो use हो रही है इसमें. And treatment is a term which is used for smoker, non-smoker. So smoker and non-smoker, these are the treatment. So we have to compare what? We have to compare the treatment. Treatment is smoking and non-smoking, it is treatment. And the patient or the smokers are the experimental unit on which we are applying the experiment. So that is the basic theory of experimentation. If I want to compare the two teaching methods, teaching method A and teaching method B. This is teaching method A, this is teaching method B. Students. Teaching method A is applied on 50 students. Teaching method B is applied on the another 50 students. Students are the experimental unit. Students are the subject. Students are the plot. The same term, these three terms are basically identical, which is used for those participants on which we apply the experiment. And treatment is what in this example? Teaching method are the treatment. Teaching method A, teaching method B, these are the treatment and the student are the. Suppose I have to compare the three medicines. A medicine A, B, C. The treatment is the medicine and patient on which the medicines are applied is the experimental unit or the plot. So that is the terminology which generally used for the experimental design. If you want to open the existing data file, you have to click this option, open an existing data source. So you have to open existing file. If your data file is new and you want to create your data file right now, so you have to use this option, type in data. Whenever you click the type in data, two windows will be opened. One window contains the variable, other window contains the data. I'm just starting from here, but later on I will use the built-in data here. Type in data, you can see variable view, you can see data view. These are the two views. In the data view, this is just a spreadsheet like window. It's purely spreadsheet, but VAR means the column titles will be the variables. Variables, you should describe the variable here. Suppose I want to describe some variable here, your ERP number. Your ERP number is text or number? G, what is it? Is text. Is text because it will not involve any calculation. So I am using a string of 8 digits. And then label, it is identification of students. And nominal, its scale is ordinal or nominal? It's nominal. Now second thing is name of a student is again a string. String means the text and its length is 50. I am just quickly doing it so that your time will be saved. Width is 50, student name. The labels are optional, student names, and nominal or ordinal, nominal, and so on. Your height, your weight, and so on. So as I click height, it's numeric. Your scale, you can see ordinal, nominal scale. I am choosing scale. Icon of scale is there. Similarly, weight is numeric. Its measurement is unknown. You have to click on the unknown and select scale. So you have to appropriately select the measurement scale for each variable. This is the phase of creating variable. Labels are optional. There is no need to place the label, but it is recommended to describe it in detail. So, for example, height in inches or in feet. The unit of measurements will be there. So that is very important. You have to describe the unit of measurement of the quantitative variable as well. Now in the data view, you have to type the data. The first student ERP number, the name, and the height, 6, and the weight, 75 kg, and so on. Second student, the name is Jamil, and so on. In the same way, you have to create the data 5.5, and it is 100 kg, and so on. So on. This is spreadsheet-like window, and you have to create the data here. Now what next? The menus are here. Whatever you have to do is there in menus. You have not to remember or recognize any command. You have to just recognize the menu option. Your menu option is what? In Analyze, all menus are here. In Analyze, all the models are here. All inferential statistics is enclosed within this option in Analyze. You can see here correlation, regression, comparing mean comparison, ANOVA, pair test, all the things are here. We have just to click on the menu items. Your commands will be implemented on the data that you have created previously. So you have to first create the data, then come here and choose a menu option and apply a model. The result will be there. It's quite simple. Other options are what? Transform, graphs. All graphs are here, pie chart, bar chart, histogram, scatter plot, all the graphs are here. You can use any of the graph here. Also, there are some case studies. You can choose this option, case studies here, which will give you the more benefit of learning statistics using SPSS.